All right. So, hey, good evening, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. And we got a real exciting part two interview with Holly Baglio.
Yeah.
Last night we went over a few things. I want to get more in depth, more really try to understand even more and get the story out even more and bring more awareness to it as well. So, where you want to start, Holly? I'm gonna just ask questions in between. You let's like explain your story to people who don't know your story, who don't know who you are. You know what I mean? Like like you're explaining this for the first time. I know you've done a lot of interviews, but a lot of people might not know who you are. So
Okay.
if you want to give us a background on you real quick, that'd be great.
Uh, I am Holly Baglio. I grew up in Far Hills, New Jersey. I went to Rotten Valley Community College for accounting. I worked for AT&T for 7 years, and my dream job, I worked for Pharmacia on executive staff. I was an administrative assistant in both AT&T as well as Pharmacia. But then when my grandmother fell sick to emphysema, I stayed home and took care of her and gave her hospice care at home until she passed away, as that was her dying wish. My grandparents raised me, and I had a wonderful relationship and upbringing with them, as well as my father, Philip Baglio. He was great to me. I had him for 7 wonderful years. Uh, as far as like things that I used to like to do, which I guess I still do now, I don't know if that like even says who I am as a person, but I like skiing and longboarding, rollerblading, camping, and martial arts, weapons training, tournament sparring. Uh, I really enjoy the fact that I live on a farm, but and I like to write, um, whether it be poetry or put my diary up online. Otherwise, I spend a lot of time with Jesus, and I enjoy my walk with Yahweh, and He allows me to come forward about my past being the super soldier who was farmed out to black ops. So I hope that explains who I am, Rose. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Okay,
Now,
thank you, Rose.
I heard you. I just heard you mention weapons training. Now, how did that come about? And are you any good at it? And what kind of weapons?
Knives, nunchucks, bong sool, and then you have the batley. Um, I really enjoy fist to fist combat, standing up as well as on the ground combat. But weapons, uh, I liked the knives and nunchucks
So you
and
really
swords the best.
are you really good at it? Like, did it like?
Back then, yes. Right now, I'm rusty, but I really enjoyed it. My Grandmaster Quack in Warren, New Jersey, he taught me everything that I knew and anything that I asked him to teach me. But uh, I really enjoyed the weapons training a lot.
But do you
Um,
think you might have already had those abilities, being a super soldier? That could have been a you already had that ability
I'll
beforehand.
be honest.
No.
Yes, because typically, where it takes an average person 3 years to get their black belt in Taekwondo or any other martial arts, I took Taekwondo and weapons training for 6 months, and I was already fighting black belts and doing weapons training with the black belt class within 6 months of starting Taekwondo with my grandmaster Kwok. And So yeah, given that it only took me 6 months to succeed that fast, and in 6 months I only got 3/4 of the way to my black belt. So had I gone for 9 months, I would have had a black belt. But in 6 months, I was training with the black belts and fighting against them with weapons and, landing kicks on each other's heads. And I think that was because, like you said, Rose, I had prior training because I took to it like a duck in water. My grandmaster asked me to move down to Florida to train me in martial arts full time. And when I went home to talk to grandma about it, I told her I didn't want to move to Florida without her. And she didn't want to move to Florida. She was stuck here in Far Hills, New Jersey, and I was attached to her. So I told my grandmaster clock I couldn't go. But yeah, I think it's from previous training from the DUMS.
Yeah, that's quick to pick up on that within 6 months. Wow, very quick. I've took Taekwondo, and it's not that, it's a lot of technique there.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I loved it. Sorry.
Yeah. All right. So then weapons trainings, and then you mentioned Black Ops. What do you remember? Any kind of Black Op type training you might have done?
Well, for me, Black Ops, I was in the DUMS, and this is going to sound fantastical, but I believe that I worked with Stargates or Seagates. I was always
Yes.
sitting in front of big doors that we'd have to go through. But then there are times that I remember jumping out of an airplane into another country on a mission or assignment, and then having to stay there and wait for my team from Black Ops to come pick me back up. I remember, I believe I have 2 to 3 recalls of that happening where Black Ops would come and pick me up after an assignment and bring me back home. But that was in another country, and it had to do with politicians being on an airplane and making the airplane crash.
Oh, so like maybe an assassination on an assassination attempt or a murder type?
I'm not quite sure, but I just remember politicians on a plane and then assisting to help the plane crash. Like while it was in flight, I would help to make the plane crash. And then after the plane crashed, I would be the only one that survived, and I would stay by the wreckage. And on one occasion, I was waiting for my team to come back and pick me up.
So presidents meaning the people that are in control of the country, or presidents of like maybe a company?
I'm sorry, politicians. Politicians. Yeah, like when our president goes to another country and you see our president lined up with their president and all they're politicians, and they're, some of them have headwear that may come from the Middle East, and some men may be dressed in a typical business suit. Those type of politicians.
Have you tried to verify that if a plane had went down in across country, and try to verify if there was actually an accident that happened.
Well, in a manner of speaking, yes, I tried to reach out to certain soldiers that I remember being with, and um, so far, no one's giving me conclusive answers.
Well, I mean, like verifying that a plane actually went down, and
Um, I'll be honest, at that time when it happened, I was so delusioned between prescription medications, pain pills, sleeping pills, anxiety pills. I was so wrapped up in that. And I was believing doctors who take spirituality out of everything and just leave the physical and mental and then give you a prescription. So I was disillusioned with everything. And I thought that was all in my head or just a nightmare because I was listening to what else everybody said, or I was listening to what everybody else had to say. But looking back on it, um, I have been trying to reach out and ask people. So David Marrow has helped me confirm some of my Black Ops missions, I believe. And I'm really grateful to David Marrow. But I recall him, definitely, I recall David Marrow. And I even have a picture of an experience that I believe I had with David Marrow. But I believe I have a second recall with David Marrow where we were boarding an aircraft. There were two teams of us, and this was Black Ops. And
do you remember where it was at? Was it in the United States or Europe, Asia? You don't remember?
I don't remember anything. I'll be honest. I'm still hoping to recall all of that, but I really don't remember. The
But you
next
do
thing I
remember.
want to say is, I'm sorry?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, after that, forgive me, Rose. The next thing I want to say is going to sound fantastical, but I believe I was on Mars. Whether we were in a room tripping on LSD, a bunch of us having a good time, or whether this really happened and we were on Mars, I don't want to debate all of that, but I just want to talk about the memory, the recalled memory as I believe I recall it, is we were on Mars. There were two teams of us, David Marrow and I think we were on opposite teams, but we were still working together. And we were walking around the surface looking for entrances into the big mountains. As odd as this sounds, I thought that I recalled listening or putting my ear up to the rocks to listen for dolphins or the sonar of dolphins echoing. There are entrances to go into the big mountains on Mars, and there's water on Mars. But the memory or recall memory I believe I have, that was in my 20s. But I also have a memory of when I was a little girl. And I don't know how I got up there as a little child, but I was about 5 or 6 years old. And there were other kids up there. And there's water up on Mars as well. I don't know if Obama's been on on Mars, but I thought I believe I have a recalled memory of Barry Obama. Um, it's a fragmented memory, but I was standing next to my commander in another country, and we were in another country, and I believe we were in army outfits with weapons in our hands, and I looked across the way and I saw Barry Obama, and I looked back at my commander and I told him, I'm like, I don't like him. And my commander just looked over and didn't say a word. But I believe that was Barry Obama I saw, and now he's our president. And I still don't like him. I'm sorry. Just, I don't like him. He was sent here to destroy America, destroy the Constitution. He's not here to do anything for anybody. I'll just, he's not here for anything good. He's got nothing to offer us. He should not be president. And why have we, the people, allowed him to be president this long? It's atrocious. When people see Barry Obama, their wonderful president, and some of the people I no longer speak to love Barry Obama, voted for him, and still continue to praise him. And where was I going? It's Barry Obama. I completely drew a blank.
That's okay.
Oh, no. If it comes back to me, may I tell you? Forgive me.
Yeah, please do.
Okay, forgive me. Yeah, but Barry, every time we see Barry give a speech, it's a clone. Like, he looks different. He's not the same. It's a clone.
So do you remember seeing any kind of beings on Mars or anything like you can describe what you saw?
I remember seeing beings, but I'll be honest, I can't describe them. I'm still hoping one day I will be able to. They just look like blobs to me right now.
Okay. Do you remember anything about the atmosphere, about the living situations, or anything?
Well, being outside where there's water, the sky looked dark, like purplish to me. Maybe bluish or so, but the rocks were dark red, and some were shardy and some were big, but the mountains were so much bigger than here on Earth. But I just remember talking to an entity, like a physical being entity, and it looked like a blob to me, and it was kind of bluish and green and purple. There was a yellow pail next to us on the rock, and then it asked me if I wanted to stay, and I said no, I miss my grandma, so I want to go home. And it said okay, and we began to get up, walk off the rock, past the water, back into the big mountains, because inside the big mountains are installations. Like, you can get inside of them, and that's where everything is. Like everyone's home,
Right.
or I guess where everything.
And they're talking about Mars. Who proved there was no water on Mars?
There is no water on Mars. I think there's dolphins on Mars too, because we were searching for them. So I think it might be like a hybrid person, I'm not sure, or another type of being, but there's dolphins on Mars. We were searching for dolphins on Mars. That's why I was up there. Something to do with their sonar. I know, as fantastical and crazy as that sounds.
So, how big? How much water would you think you saw? Like as big as the Pacific Ocean? Lakes? Like, what would you?
A lake. What I saw was a lake.
Okay. Yeah, dolphins are very spiritual beings. There's actually a law here in the United States. I'm not sure anywhere else, but you're not allowed to touch a dolphin without signing a government waiver form saying that they give you permission to even touch a dolphin. It's illegal, in other words, unless you have permission. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I so much want to go swimming with dolphins. I'll be honest. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. Yes, dolphins are spiritual beings, and touching them is very restricted in the United States. Yeah, that's right. So let's get into okay your childhood in school last night. Um, you want to get more what your memories of the underground, um, the things you might have done in there, and who you might have saw. You want to get into that, the
Sure,
underground.
absolutely. Definitely.
Let's get into that. What's your first memories of the underground of seeing?
Uh, well, I might be repeating things. Like I can tell you what Project Ibis was because I remember a little bit more of that.
Okay,
Um,
what was the Project Ibis?
well, I also remember. Well, okay, we'll get there. I hope. Project Ibis was up in Nelson, Canada. Um, that was when they trained everybody, but I don't know if you want to hear about the brutality or
Well,
maybe
yeah, tell us the truth. What did you see? I mean, now were you in Canada at the time, or were you being brought there um,
I,
spiritually, or like astral travel, or physically, or
I was brought there physically. So I was in Nelson, Canada physically. Um,
okay,
yeah, so a bunch of us kids were brought there. And I remember we were wrapped in blankets and we were lined up outside, but we started to walk into the right to another room. And I felt tripped out of my mind, like a really bad acid trip. And I must have been about 5 years old or 6 years old or seven. It's 5 or 6. There were other kids about my age wrapped up in blankets and we were huddled together. And I remember seeing these colors hanging, and we had to play a color game. And the adults told us to pick a color. So I believe my commander picked blue, another kid picked green, and I was going to pick pink and purple, or I was going to pick purple, the purple color, because my grandmother always had her bathroom dressed in pink and purple, curtains and tiles, everything was pink and purple. But when I went up to grab the color purple, it had like a smudge on it. So I ended up going for yellow. And there was another child that ended up grabbing the purple color. So all of a sudden, when we were done picking colors, the adults called out, the lights were turned on. The adults called out the purple color, and one adult came over and picked up the kid and walked it over and dropped it in front of a wolf inside of a cage. And I believe it was ripped apart. And the next thing I remember, I think my eyes were closed, because the next thing I remember, I believe us kids were grabbed up and then strapped down again. Whether it was a bed or a seat, I'm not sure, but we were strapped down and my eyes were closed. So I don't remember after that. But also in Nelson, Canada, I remember being above ground at this government base or military base, and the hangar doors were open, and it gets really cold outside. And we were just little kids, and there were rows of cots, and I looked across the way, and I saw my Commander Casbolt, and I ran over to him and I slept next to him to keep warm. We must have been like, well, I think I was like 5 years old. So
How old
it
would
was so cold.
James Casbolt be at the time if you were 5?
Uh, 4 or 3, I think. I think I was like a couple years older than him. I'm not quite sure.
Well,
But I remember him before all of that programming got started, and before I served at his command. I remember us as kids.
I want
So,
I want to get in more into that, but I have 2 good questions from
yeah,
Rocco in the chat room, if you don't mind. Is that before we move on to
go right ahead.
deeper?
Hi, Rocco.
He wants to know: did you ever find the dolphins on Mars? Did you find them?
I believe so because here I am safely back on Earth. I think their sonar is how we got back, but
Oh,
I might be corrected, or I might stand corrected. I'm not sure, but I think that's why we were looking for them.
oh. So you think that you can travel on their sonar?
Well, I thought that's how you heal and how you get home, and
Oh wow.
I thought I could be wrong. I don't know. Forgive me, but that's my
No, it's
answer.
okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. And then somebody, we are free, said her being on Mars could be part of the mind control ideas, so maybe programmed into her at that time. Do you think that mind control program that was put into you?
Yes, there's the other part of me that does feel that it could be mind control and that we were not on Mars and we were in a room being mind controlled and things were happening. So,
Do you think it could be a false memory?
well, I go back and forth between things because I don't have any certain confirmation, but I do definitely ask questions and search my soul. So, if if God forbid I find out that I was in a room tripping on acid and not really on Mars, then I will come back and apologize. I'm not trying to lie to
Right.
anybody, but yeah, I'm trying to figure my way through all of that.
So okay, let's go back to okay. So you remember being outside a bunker in Canada with James Cobalt. It was cold and you fell asleep. Now that was your first memories of training in the underground, then?
Um, well, when I was 3 years old, when we first talked last night, those were my very first memories. So what I'm telling you now is probably the second deep underground military base I've been to, or well, Nelson, Canada. Um,
Okay.
the first one, I believe, when I was living in San Antonio, Texas, where my grandparents had to come fly down and get me from. That was the first time, and we discussed that last night. But up in Nelson, Canada, that was when that was, um, when I saw the first children, torn alive by a wolf and stuff. So it was different. There were Skinner boxes, I believe. Um, and I also remember playpens with us kids being in them. But
Do you remember who the programmer was at the time? Like the adults that were in charge of these children?
I remember one woman, but I don't quite know who she is. I've been searching to find out who she is, this one woman. I guess people have called her mother. I'm not quite sure. Um, there was always like two or three adults, but not many. Um, it's hard to remember. It's still scattered. Forgive me.
So there was just a
Okay.
couple adults, but no one in particular.
I can't. I can't. I'll be honest. I can't remember the adults. Once I once I'm like into my later teenage years, then I remember George Bush Sr. and Barry Obama. Um, I also have a second memory of Joseph Mengele way, way after that, as we discussed last night. But
Right.
as a little kid, no, it's honestly really hard. Even when they took us kids to that monastery, I'll be honest, I can't. I see the adults standing over us. I see there's a bunch of them or a couple of them, whichever the event, but I just can't see their face. So I don't know if it's a woman or a man. I just,
That's fine. Do you remember any abuse that happened to you and the other children that are in these playpens in this underground base? Was there abuse happening? Like, or were you guys just left in the pens most of the time? Or do you understand? Like, what was the purpose of having these
um,
children in the?
well, I remember being in playpens with other kids, but we were babies. We were playing with toys. I remember being in a classroom setting as well, being taught by the same adults uh, that were there watching over us in the playpens. Um,
So you said your grandma raised you as a child, right?
yes, she
Did,
did.
did did she have any memories of you missing?
No, not at
Oh,
all. No.
hmm.
And she would have been the first to know, but no, she didn't.
Now I did hear that they do have the capability to say, come in your room, take you out of your room, say you're doing homework or whatever, take you out of your room, take you on a mission for 2 days, 24 hours, whatever, bring you back to your room, and you only lose 3 minutes.
Yes, I've heard that too. I do remember
It
people
puts
coming into my room as a little kid under the age of 10, all the way up until I was in my late 20s. I remember people coming into my home and taking me out.
without your grandparents' knowledge,
Yes,
and
yes, nobody
then
knew.
nobody. Wow. Okay.
Um, I have a recalled memory of, well, I have still a little bit scattered memories, but not as a child. As a teenager, I believe I remember walking behind, well, George Bush Sr. and Commander Casbolt and myself and having our foreheads scanned as we were walking inside a dome. And when I looked to my right, I remembered seeing classrooms filled with younger kids.
Mm.
And I was following George Bush Sr., who my commander was behind down this hallway. And then we sat at a table and talked,
Do you remember what you
and
talked about?
vaguely, but when George Bush Sr. got up and left, I looked at my commander and I said, I don't like him. And Commander Casbolt said, Holly, you're not always going to like all your bosses. And that was all I remember.
Oh, you don't remember the George Bush actually speaking or saying anything to you at all?
I don't remember what he said to me. I
Okay.
remember conversing, but I don't remember what we said. Like, in my recalled memories, I'll remember talking to someone, but I don't remember all their words, or I'll remember a couple of them, but it's not clear fully to me just yet.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you. Now you also said you remember Obama as a teenager too, right?
Yeah,
And do you remember any conversation with him or overhearing him talking about anything? And where
no,
was that at? That was on Mars, right?
no. Actually, when I saw Barry Obama, I was with my commander in on another continent, on the Earth, but in another country, on another continent other than the U.S. And I saw Barry Obama off in a distance, and I said, I don't like him.
He didn't like a lot
And
of them.
well, forgive me. My grandmother was great at being able to call a kettle black, and well, I just didn't like George Bush Sr. and Barry Obama. They're black kettles. So
Right.
forgive me, but that's the truth.
It is what it is. Yes. Do you
Yeah.
know if you could recall his age? What age would you say he was, Obama?
He's got to be about the same age I am. I'm 42. Maybe he's 10 years older than me, but I can't imagine him being any more than that. I mean, I don't know. I'm 42. And if Commander's 39, he's got to be about the same age as us. He's got to be
Oh,
like between 39 and 42, right? I would imagine.
at the
He
time,
looked like,
at the
oh,
time or
oh,
now?
well, no, well, at the time, when I'm sorry, I thought you meant like now. I thought you meant how old Barry Obama would be.
Well,
No, I think we're the same age.
he's older than 42. Yeah, he's in his 50s, right?
Really? Okay.
Yeah, let me check because I like to make sure I get the right information
All
out there.
right. So I would at the time I saw him, when I saw him from the Dumbs alongside of my commander, I would have guessed his age the same as mine at the
Yeah.
time.
Okay, he's 55.
Okay. So that's what I mean about him
Close.
being my age now.
Yeah,
So
close to you.
I thought he was my age.
Okay. All right. What was he doing? Do you recall what he was doing?
Well, he had a weapon in his hand and he was in army fatigues. Um, he was not doing the same thing. He wasn't on the same assignment I was. He was with someone else. I'm not quite sure what they were doing.
Oh, wow. Well, I heard that, he's CIA training, he's had CIA training, so wouldn't
Yeah,
surprise me.
it wouldn't surprise me either.
So somebody's asking, do you think Obama is a super soldier?
Yes, I do. He is active as well with clones. He is not our friend.
So you think he is still a super soldier and active at now?
Yes, I do.
Wow.
And his wife is actually a man posing as our first lady, and their poor children are SRA victims that
SRA?
are, yeah, I believe Barry Obama's children are SRA victims. They're not his kids. I mean, well, our first lady is not a real first lady. So with that and Barry Obama, you can't really have kids. So therefore, the children that they do have in the White House are SRA victims, bought and
You
paid
want to
for by
explain?
our tax dollars.
You want to explain to people what SRA is?
Yes, satanically ritualized and abused. They are kids that are sold, like myself, are sold into slavery, or they're sold into slavery. They're programmed by these MK Ultra projects. And then you have some rich politician that comes along and buys up these kids because they're easily programmable. And voila, now you have a fixed made family posing in the White House. And there starts the beginning of your deception. So these kids have been exposed to satanic rituals. They've seen other kids murdered in front of them. They've been ritualized, which they've seen humans summon evil spirits and then try to put these evil spirits into them. Kids are innocent. And because kids are innocent, they can see the supernatural world, the astral world, whatever label you want to put on it, our kids can see that. And that's why children are chosen for all of these rituals and sacrifices. They're very sensitive and very intuitive. And when you can get them that young and take their abilities of what they see in the supernatural world, and kids are very aware. You can't say, oh, that kid's 3 years old. It doesn't know what I'm talking about. It's stupid. They know more than you do. They're innocent. They they are connected. They understand their dreams. But as you get older, this world indoctrinates you. This world builds up tolerance. So it corrupts all of that. But if you take a little child and put them into these programs, oh boy, the twisting that happens is atrocious. And basically, you're taking this child's spiritual gifts and warping it into your evil intentions. And instead of allowing them to see Jesus Christ of Nazareth, you are now tuning them into seeing aliens, interdimensional beings, and this and that, and dead people, and this spirit guide and that spirit guide, and it's all the wrong stuff. So